Currently, 1 in 7 couples have difficulty conceiving, and many experts in the field predict this could double over the next 10 years. Infertility rates are rising, and this suggests that specific factors in modern-day living are responsible. A woman's peak reproductive years are between the late teens, the late 20s. By age 30, the fertility, the ability to get pregnant, starts to decline. This decline becomes more rapid once you reach your mid-30s. By 45, fertility has declined so much that getting pregnant naturally is unlikely for most women. The most common foods linked to infertility are gluten, wheat, alcohol, and caffeine, although there are others that may be the culprit. Having a food intolerance test is a wise idea for anyone wishing to become pregnant, especially those who are having difficulties. Generally, the diet should consist of fresh, home-prepared meals containing a variety of vegetables and fruits. Organic foods should be used where possible, since they have higher mineral content, and pesticide may be another unwanted stress on the body. Antioxidants like folate and zinc may improve fertility for both men and women. They deactivate the free radicals in your body, which can damage both the sperm and the egg cells. Celiac disease is a condition where the lining of the small intestine becomes damaged due to wheat sensitivity. The fine lining, or the villi, in the small intestine is responsible for absorbing vital nutrients from your food. And when they become damaged, it can cause a wide variety of medical problems, including rashes, IBS, malnutrition, and much more. It might be hard to imagine that celiac disease could have any relation to infertility, but some research is beginning to point in that direction. Enzymatically preserved colostrum and the amino acid L-glutamine are two supplements that can help to repair a damaged intestinal lining, and they may help to correct any nutritional deficiency or inflammatory condition that could be contributing to the infertility issues. Finnish researchers determined that celiac disease rates for infertile women are about 4%. While doctors are still not sure of the exact correlation between celiac disease and infertility, it's hypothesized that unmanaged celiac disease leads to a shorter reproductive cycle and earlier menopause. These studies go a bit further and suggest that celiac disease is also responsible for lower birth weight, a higher risk of abortion, and decreased breastfeeding time. It would also indicate that it's important to adopt a gluten-free diet if you're having any issues. Eating a substantial breakfast may help women with fertility problems. One study has found that eating a larger breakfast may improve the hormonal effects of polycystic ovary syndrome, which can be a major cause of infertility. For moderate weight women with polycystic ovarian syndrome, eating most of their calories at the breakfast reduced the insulin levels by 8% and the testosterone levels by 50%. High levels of either can contribute to infertility. You can check out my video on polycystic ovary syndrome for natural ways to help to treat this condition. In addition, by the end of the 12-week study, the women had ovulated more than the women who had a smaller breakfast and a larger dinner, suggesting there was improved fertility. However, it's important to note that increasing the size of your breakfast without reducing the size of your evening meal is likely to lead to weight gain. Eat healthy fats every day, as it's important for boosting fertility and overall health. However, trans fats are associated with an increased risk of ovulatory infertility due to their negative effects on insulin sensitivity. Trans fats are commonly found in hydrogenated vegetable oils, and they're usually present in some margarine, fried foods, processed products, and baked goods. Studies have found that a diet higher in trans fats and lower in unsaturated fats was linked to infertility for both men and women. Refined carbohydrates may be especially problematic. Refined carbohydrates include sugary foods and drinks, and processed grains, including white pasta, bread, and rice. These carbohydrates are absorbed very quickly, causing spikes in blood sugar and insulin levels. Refined carbohydrates also have high glycemic index. The glycemic index tells you if a carbohydrate-dense food will raise your blood sugar significantly. Insulin is chemically similar to ovarian hormones. These hormones help our eggs to mature. Consistent elevated insulin can cause the body to produce fewer reproductive hormones because it thinks that it doesn't need them. This can contribute to a lack of egg maturation and ovulation. Fiber can help your body to get rid of excess hormones and keep your blood sugar balanced. Certain types of fiber can help to remove excess estrogen by binding to it in the intestine. The excess estrogen is then removed from the body as a waste product. One older 2009 study associated soluble fiber, such as from avocados, sweet potatoes, oats and fruits, with lower levels of estrogen and progesterone. Soluble fiber from the fruit especially had the strongest association with the lower concentrations of estrogen. Some examples of high fiber foods are whole grains, fruits, vegetables and beans. The daily recommended intake of fiber for women is 25 grams per day and 31 grams for men. One 2009 study found that eating 10 grams more cereal fiber per day was associated with a 44% lower risk of ovulatory infertility among the women older than 32. Replacing some animal protein, such as meat, fish and eggs, with vegetable protein, such as beans, nuts and seeds, is linked to a reduced risk of infertility. A study has shown that when 5% of the total calories came from vegetable protein instead of animal protein, the risk of ovulatory infertility decreased by more than 50%. A 2018 study concluded that eating more fish correlates to a higher probability of live birth following infertility treatment. Consider replacing some of the protein in your diet with protein from vegetables, beans, lentils, nuts, and low-mercury fish. High intakes of low-fat dairy food can increase your risk of infertility, whereas high-fat dairy may decrease it. One large study from 2007 looked at the effects of eating high-fat dairy more than once a day, or less than once a week. It found that the women who consumed one or more servings of a high-fat dairy product per day were 27% less likely to be infertile. An estimated 20% of ovulatory infertility may be avoided if women consume 3 or more multivitamins per week. Micronutrients found in vitamins have essential roles in fertility. For women who are trying to get pregnant, a multivitamin containing folate in the form of methyl tetrahydrofolate may be especially beneficial. Some of the most important nutrients for a fertile system are the B vitamins, selenium, omega-3, iron and vitamin E. Vitamin D is linked to a variety of health problems. For women who are trying to conceive, it appears to be linked to better fertility, as well as a healthy pregnancy. Because of these potential benefits, you should get a 25-hydroxy vitamin D blood test and then supplement accordingly with vitamin D3 to correct any deficiency. Coenzyme Q10 plays a crucial role in energy production inside the mitochondria. As people age, cellular production of coenzyme Q10 decreases, so an older woman's eggs are less efficient at producing energy. This reduced energy production can lead to poorer fertilization and earlier embryo loss. The best form of coenzyme Q10 is ubiquinol, and doses can range from 100 to 400 milligrams per day. You can learn about other mitochondrial boosting supplements such as PQQ, D-ribose, creatine, and the research chemical SR9009 in my video on the mitochondria. Also, exercise and cold water are other ways to help to boost mitochondrial activity. Resveratrol is an anti-aging, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and insulin-sensitizing natural polyphenic compound found in grapes. Growing evidence indicates that resveratrol has potential therapeutic effects in infertile women with diminished ovarian function, polycystic ovary syndrome, or endometriosis. Common doses are 500 to 1000 milligrams per day in the form of trans resveratrol. Low levels of thyroid hormone can interfere with the release of an egg from your ovary, and this can impair fertility. In addition, some of the underlying causes of hypothyroidism, such as certain autoimmune or pituitary disorders, can also impair fertility. You can check out my video on the natural treatment of autoimmune disease and my video on treating hypothyroidism. One common recommendation for a woman who's tried to conceive is increasing the intake of iodine, a nutritional mineral which helps to ensure healthy fertility, conception and pregnancy. Not only does it help to treat hypothyroidism, but it's also required by the body for the synthesis of stress and sex hormones. The iodine should be taken in the form of nascent iodine. A recommended governmental dose of iodine is 150 micrograms per day. However, Japanese consume up to 3,000 micrograms per day as they eat lots of seaweed. There's many hormone disrupting chemicals that are implicated in infertility. One, for example, is how the coating on a non-stick pan has been linked to triggering an earlier menopause. Disruptions in female reproductive functions by endocrine disrupting chemicals can result in subfertility, infertility, improper hormone production, estrus and menstrual cycle abnormalities, anovulation, and early reproductive senescence. Some of these chemicals are pesticides like organochlorines and organophosphates, heavy metals like arsenic, lead and mercury, plasticizer alternatives, and many others. Although many recommend soy consumption after the menopause, they contain a plant-derived estrogen called isoflavones. If you eat too much soy, the isoflavones can have a negative impact on the female body and your ability to conceive. There's much evidence to suggest that there's a connection between heavy metal toxicity and subfertility. Lead and cadmium are particularly related to conception issues, in addition to miscarriage, prematurity, and low birth weight. Other heavy metals, such as mercury and aluminium, may also be involved. Cigarette smoke, both first-hand and passive, unfiltered water, tinned tuna, and old paint are some of the instigators of heavy metal toxicity. You can check out my video on mercury fillings to learn about natural ways to restore your glutathione levels, which is a master antioxidant in the body responsible for detoxifying these heavy metals. Other factors that can result in subfertility are candida, hormonal imbalances, infection, endometriosis, and ovarian cysts. You can check out my video on polycystic ovarian syndrome, on endometriosis, and on candida for more information about these specific conditions and natural ways to treat them. Increasing moderate physical activity has positive effects on fertility for women and men, especially those with obesity. The trick is moderation is the key. Excessively high intensity exercise has actually been associated with decreased fertility in certain women. Excess exercise may change the energy balance in your body and negatively affect your reproductive system. In my other videos, I talk about how excess exercise requires a higher dose of antioxidants in order to neutralize the free radicals and prevent inflammation and inflammation-related diseases. Similarly, excess exercise can lower body fat too much, and it's known that cholesterol is required for its conversion into cortisol for stress control and into DHEA, testosterone, and estrogen for optimal hormonal levels, which can all have a negative effect on fertility. One of my lecturers has told me how she's successfully treated some patients' infertility by just telling them to have bacon and eggs for breakfast to ensure that they have enough cholesterol for the hormone production. A recent study has shown that women with the highest stress levels are much more likely to fail to get pregnant within 12 months of trying. The study was published in the most recent online edition of the journal Human Reproduction. Researchers from Ohio State University tracked 373 American women aged 18 to 40 who just started trying to conceive. Their progress was followed over a 12-month time period, or until they became pregnant. None of the subjects had any known prior infertility problems. The results showed that the higher levels of pre-conception stress more than doubled the chances of a woman failing to get pregnant after 12 months of trying. Previous research has already shown a link between high stress levels and reduced probability of pregnancy. The researchers recommended yoga and meditation for those who are hoping to become pregnant. Regular exercise and eating a healthy, nutrient-dense diet also increased the chances of success. Again, during stress, your body uses its pregnenolone store, which it's synthesized from cholesterol to either make cortisol stress hormone or DHEA testosterone and estrogen. Therefore, it's logical that increased stress decreases essential hormone levels. Some supplements that can help control cortisol are Tulsi tea, which is also known as holy basil, and phosphatidylserine at doses of 600 to 800 milligrams per day. If supplementing with pregnenolone or DHEA, a blood test would be required first to assess your levels. Sleep is also related to cortisol control and stress reduction. You can check out my video on herbs to help you sleep and on melatonin for more natural solutions to help to improve the sleep and to reduce the stress. New research from the National Resource Defence Council found that household dust contains a cocktail of hazardous chemicals that can cause a variety of health problems, including cancer and infertility. Researchers say the chemicals in household dust come from flooring, electrical equipment, beauty products, and even cleaning products. Vitex agnus, or the chasteberry, a popular herb for balancing the menstrual cycle and resolving PMS. It likely acts on the pituitary gland in the brain, increasing the strength of the luteinizing hormone surge, and this triggers ovulation. This in turn can strengthen ovulation and progesterone production in the luteal phase. It's been shown to decrease abnormally high prolactin, thus it can improve hormone balance and ovarian function. This herb helps women with ovulation problems and women with luteal phase defect who have short luteal phase or low progesterone production. Maca has been used for thousands of years as a libido and fertility enhancing medicine. It's indigenous to the Peruvian Andes and it's a tuber like a turnip. It acts as an adaptogen, helping the body cope during times of increased stress, but it may also affect the androgens in both men and women. It's unclear if it affects actual levels of testosterone or just the receptor, but it has been shown in both men and women to affect the fertility positively. In light of the effects on the testosterone activity, however, this supplement may not be helpful for women who have polycystic ovary syndrome, which can be associated with elevated androgen levels. It has a reputation where it's grown for being able to make infertile sheep conceive. Tribulus terrestris, also used in Chinese medicine, this herb can be helpful for both male and female fertility. In women with irregular ovulation, especially due to polycystic ovary syndrome, the tribulus may help to normalize the cycle and create predictable ovulation. One study has shown it also increased conception rates when both partners took it, in couples who had high levels of anti-sperm antibodies. In addition to relieving period symptoms, primrose oil helps to produce good, fertile cervical fluid. The extra layer helps the sperm make their way to the egg, leaving a greater chance of fertilization. It's safe to use from your period to ovulation. Red clover is estrogen's twin hormonally. Though not identical, they can both serve the same purpose, as red clover helps to thicken the uterine lining, and this leads to better implantation and it increases your fertility. Black cohosh can stimulate your ovaries and, better yet, the eggs inside. If nothing else, it helps to relieve the feeling of menstrual cramps. However, it should only be used in the first half of your menstrual cycle to prevent problems. Ashwagandha enhances the endocrine system and thus it helps regulate the thyroid and the adrenal glands. These glands are responsible for maintaining the balance of the reproductive hormones and hence they play a very important role in the treatment of female infertility. Ashwagandha is also rich in iron. Shatavari is a super fertility tonic for women, balancing hormones as well as providing nourishment and strength to the uterus. Shatavari acts on the immune system and it helps in stressful times, so it's ideal for stress-induced and immune-mediated infertility. Women with severe depressive symptoms have a decreased chance of becoming pregnant. You could check out my videos on the various mental health conditions to learn about natural treatment methods. Any amount of dopamine that's out of the normal range could possibly cause infertility. It's often in high levels in those who have high stress or who've been on antidepressants. Dopamine is what switches prolactin off. So if you're lacking dopamine, the anti-conception switch could just stay on. You can check out my video, Know Your Neurotransmitter, Dopamine, for more information about this neurotransmitter. For more information about the herbs or supplements discussed in this presentation, check out my website.